blue skin, red eyes, many worlds, the chaos, a complicated political and familial hierarchy. All of this makes up the Chiss and the Chiss Ascendancy. After our first encounter with the Ascendancy and all of its complexities in the novel Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising, we all needed to see what happened with Thrawn and with the Chiss and with the Ascendancy and with the worlds and the chaos. Well, luckily for us, the second installment in this trilogy was just as awesome as the first. Hey everyone, my name is Emma Park. I'm a content creator here at Youtini, and today I'll be reviewing Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good by Timothy Zahn. But before we begin, I just want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to hit the notification bell so that you'll be reminded every time Youtini goes live or every time we drop a new video. But with that, let's get started. Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good was released on April 27th, 2021, and is the second novel in the Ascendancy trilogy. It costs the typical adult hardcover price of $28.99 US and is 432 pages long. I got my copy on Amazon using a Youtini affiliate link, which will be in the description below. If you're the type of person who prefers audiobooks, we've got that covered too. You can get your first audiobook through Audible on Youtini by going to audibletrial.com/Youtini. Every Star Wars book has amazing production with music, sound effects, and incredible narration. And if you want to listen to this particular book, our team gave it raving reviews from an audio standpoint. Those are all the basics. Now let's move on to the actual review. The review team here at Youtini looks at a few key aspects of the books we review: plot, characters, originality, writing, and entertainment. While we aren't paid for these reviews, we do receive advanced reader copies for free. Our goal with these reviews is to be honest yet respectful because we love our Star Wars authors and we want them to keep writing Star Wars books. That being said, you can always trust us here at Youtini to provide an honest review that will make your reader experience even better. With that, let's dive right into it. Let's discuss the plot first. This is a classic Zahn plot in its ominous feeling. The reader senses tension and building turmoil as the novel goes on, similar to how the characters are feeling this turmoil and tension as they move through the novel as well. But like stories like these tend to do, the build-up to the excitement felt a bit slow. The main complaint of our review team was that they didn't feel as invested in the first half as they did the second, due mostly to the high stakes. However, the plot sucks you in entirely once you reach that tipping point. Despite the slower start, Zahn uses this to his advantage, setting us up with feeling off guard and then slapping us with an absolutely thrilling web of politics, battles, and backstabbing. There were multiple plot threads that were subsequently woven all together that made for an exquisite payoff. In the previous novel, Chaos Rising, there were interludes between some chapters called memories. The memories make their return in this novel as well, this time focusing on the Agabui, which are aliens. Namely, the main focus of the memories is Half-Leaf of the Agabui, which we'll talk about a little later. There was a great mystery component tied in with these memories, making the reader wonder what Half-Leaf's motives were or what were his goals. These interludes also give us another opportunity to explore even more of the chaos and to be introduced to some more characters that have a feeling like they're gonna be really important later on. Moving back to Thrawn, as always, he is using his intelligent and unique ways of leading to solve mysteries in the chaos that seems like he's the only one equipped to handle. It feels comforting as a reader to be going on another adventure with your old buddy Sherlock Thrawn. And the great part is that the answer to the mystery is usually never what you really think it is. The plot was extremely enjoyable with its twists and turns, yet staying with the classic Thrawn vibe, and we give this section an 8.6 out of 10. Moving on to characters now. Thrawn is obviously the title character of the book, however, he doesn't exactly star in this novel. In fact, I don't even really think that I could pick out one character that is the star. Zahn does this on purpose. Thrawn isn't the main diva, making sure everything gravitates around him. Rather, he's doing most of the action of putting together the puzzle behind the scenes. When Thrawn is in the limelight, though, we get a man who is driven, focused, and determined to protect the Ascendancy at all costs. Our review team thinks this might just be the best Thrawn has ever been written, and that's saying a lot. Of course, Thrawn isn't the only player in this story. Thalius and Cherie make their return from the last novel, and they're both still working on Thrawn's ship. Cherie still as a Skywalker, navigating the ship through the chaos, and Thalius still as Cherie's caregiver. Both get to be more involved in the operations and strategy and planning with the ship, and that's really refreshing to see because they're both extremely smart and intuitive, and it was nice to see them be used a little bit more in that arena. Aralani also returns in this novel. Unfortunately, we don't get too much time with her, but we do get an awesome new officer named Lakinda, who is of the Zodlak family. She commands the ship Grey Shrike, and that ship plays a pivotal role in missions with both Thrawn and Aralani. Personally, my favorite character of this book was in fact Lakinda. She has a very interesting story arc, and I don't want to spoil it because it's very unique and very interesting. Hapleaf of the Agabui is easily one of the creepiest characters I've ever read about in a Star Wars novel. This is because the Agabui can tell what people are thinking when they touch people's faces, so naturally Hapleaf is touching people's faces a lot, and not everybody likes their faces to be touched, and he does it in like a kind of a creepy way. And it felt very uncomfortable at times, and you could tell that characters that were being touched by him in their face also felt very uncomfortable. It was just an uncomfortable situation all around. Aside from all of that creepiness, Hapleaf is generally an untrustworthy character, and it was interesting to go through the novel and have my feelings change about him as we progressed. But he also introduces us to new characters, such as a Chiss family of farmers on the planet Selwis. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect to be so interested by a family of space farmers, but they were really cool. The characters were the highlight of this book for our review team, and we give this section a 9.1 out of 10. Next, let's talk about originality. Our review team had a really tough time with this section because this book felt incredibly unique, but at the same time it felt like more of the same. In other words, we still have the same inquisitive Thrawn in the still unique feeling setting of the chaos. Nothing could top the originality of the first entry in this trilogy, mostly because of the brand new idea of the chaos and the new Chiss hierarchies. In this book, we still have the same chaos and the same political hierarchies, but it still feels extremely unique. In terms of this novel as a Thrawn story, it isn't exactly unique. Thrawn has a mystery on his hands. He investigates it with unorthodox methods, and then he solves it without realizing that there's another problem on the horizon. That being said, Timothy Zahn has written a lot about Thrawn and the Chiss in his career, yet he's still coming up with new lore for them, and there's something quite amazing about that. In fact, you can almost sense how much fun Zahn is having with coming up with all of these new elements. To put a finer point on this, if the only Star Wars book you've ever read is Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising, this book is going to feel incredibly boring and much of the same. Yet, if you look at Greater Good through the lens of the entire Star Wars EU, it has this incredibly unique feeling despite being much of the same as its predecessor. The originality was slightly lacking compared to the last installment, yet it still felt very original despite that. We give this section an 8.3 out of 10. Let's move on to writing now. Timothy Zahn is known for his style of writing being technical and lore-filled, and this book is much of the same. However, by Timothy Zahn standards, this book was much easier to read. That might be because we understand the chaos better and the political hierarchies better after the first installment, but either way, it makes for a really enjoyable experience. Our review team found his writing style to be a little hard to get into once again, just because of its uniqueness in tones and story structure, but once we got into the swing of things, we were pleasantly surprised with the results. The way Zahn goes about telling the story as a whole is masterful. He uses the element of mystery to his advantage, keeping the reader hooked while not giving too much away at once. You don't feel like you're wasting your time with reading this book, rather, you feel a nice payoff at the end. But, like Zahn has a tendency to do, this book ends on a cliffhanger. And by cliffhanger, I mean I am hanging on to the edge of that cliff by my fingernails. I mean, I can't blame him for ending the book this way, but come on, we were all gonna read the last one anyways. Our review team thinks that this is some of Zahn's best writing, and we give this section an 8.8 out of 10. Last up is entertainment. Like I said before, the first half or so of the book was a little slow and slightly hard to get through, but it was all so worth it once some of the mysteries that had been building up came to a head. At this turning point, it's really hard to put the book down. For real, I would plan like a 24-hour stretch where you can enjoy what's coming. Zahn doesn't give a whole lot away at once, but he also doesn't leave much hidden either. Of course, there are still plenty of mysteries going into the third and final installment, but the outstanding mysteries that are still left after the final page of Greater Good doesn't take away from its excellence. Rather, it strengthens it by providing even more intrigue. Lately, we've had a wide variety of Star Wars books that have each been interesting for their own reasons. Greater Good's calling card is its mystery and intrigue. Not only is that true for this installment, but I'm sure it will be true for the next one as well. The entertainment value is high, keeping us on the edge of our seats. We give this section an 8.7 out of 10. Overall, this book was a seriously enjoyable read, with plenty of twists and turns and mysteries. The story was intriguing, the characters were on point, the originality still carried over from the last book, Zahn's writing was fantastic as always, and the entertainment value was high despite a slightly slow start. Our review team gives Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good an official Youtini score of an 8.7 out of 10. That'll do it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed our review of Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good by Timothy Zahn. But we want to know what you think. Comment down below and let us know. Our Discord server has amazing conversations on all of the new material, so I highly recommend joining in at youtini.com/discord. I think I speak for everyone when I say I cannot wait to see what the Ascendancy trilogy has in store for us next. If you'd like to help support Youtini, links to all of the canon Thrawn books are in the description below. Can't get enough Thrawn? Check out our guide to the infamous Chiss Leader, as well as reviews and review videos for other Thrawn books, all in the description below. If you want to take a deeper dive into the books, check out the Living Force podcast, or catch the live show every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/Youtini. Check out youtini.com for book profiles, timelines, and reviews for every single story in the Star Wars galaxy. And lastly, if you'd like to help support Youtini more directly, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Youtini. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.